Good evening, everyone. Are there young people in the room? Is that the response I get? Good evening, everyone. Young people, how are you today? You're the guests of honors because the whole event is about young people. But I would like to recognize the distinguished guests that we have beyond the young people. We have Her Excellency, European Commissioner Jutta Urpilainen of EU International Partnerships. We have Her Excellency Dr. Nardos Mekele Thomas, who is the CEO of African Union Development Agency, or NEPAD. We have the African Union Acting Director of Acting Head of Youth Development and Engagement Division. We also have the EU Ambassador to the African Union, His Excellency Javier Nino Perez, and young people. I'm informed that we have different young people in the room from 14 different African countries, which is excellent. Make noise if you're from the Youth Sounding Board of Ethiopia and the African and European Youth Advisory Board of the new lab. This is such an exciting moment. I'll give you a bit of a background about what we're launching today, and it's very personal to me as a young leader as well. 7 years ago, we had the 4th African and European Youth Summit in Abidjan, which I was a part of in a much younger setting. I'm still youth, by the way. And we had a number of consultations between African, European, and diaspora youth to really give recommendations to head of states and to both African Union and European Commission for meaningful youth engagement. After that, there was a youth initiative from both African and European called the Plug-in Initiative, which grew into the African Union and European Union Youth Cooperation Hub. And now, to turn it into action, we're launching the AUEU Youth Lab. Congratulations, young people, for walking the journey with us. And I'd also like to congratulate both the African Union and European Union for really being committed to walking the journey for the last 7 years, even beyond. A bit of a background about the lab. The global objective of this AUEU Lab is to just ensure that we contribute to the empowerment of youth in Africa and to strengthen their involvement in active and meaningful participation and enhance innovative ways as well. There are 3 specific objectives of this lab. I said that it will be an action lab, but how would that be, right? We need to ensure the policy-making, decision-making processes around Africa and EU partnerships are more youth-responsive and inclusive. That's the first pillar. I'll ask the questions later. Remember these pillars. That's number 1. Number 2 is to enhance the capacity of young people and youth organizations to contribute to this cross-continental collaboration. So it's about capacity. Third one is to create a joint African and European youth-led cooperation activities that pursue long-term impact and positive change between the 2 continents. So those are the 3 pillars. And with that, I'll introduce myself. Who am I? My name is Bitania Lulu. I'm a youth advocate who's been working on African youth development, but also supporting the cooperation between the 2 continents. And I had the great honor to serve as the first special advisor on youth to Commissioner Jutta Urpilainen that's present here. So like I said, this is very personal to me and very personal to my commissioner as well, and to her commitment to young people. We were just in Brussels actually on Friday, looking back at this collaboration of youth empowerment within the EU and the success stories that we've had. And I call it her baby, which is launching the youth sounding board across the continent and also across the globe, including the country YSP here. Are you still here with me, the YSP members? Great. And with that, I want to turn your attention to the mural there. There's a painting. Can you see it? It's on my left, so it's on your right. It is to show the collaboration between these two continents. And I would like to give a shout out to the two painters, Warkana Bezu and Yapsara Damase. Please give a huge shout out to them. A round of applause. They've told me that what it shows, you see the blue side is the EU flag, the green side is the EU flag, but it shows that on the human face, the black side is going to the EU, the white side is going to the AU. That means that cohesion and cooperation between the two continents, with the sunrise and innovation, and the three core points of the lab that I mentioned earlier. So thank you so much, our amazing painters, for showing us what the collaboration could look like in a picture setting. So round of applause to them once again. Now I would like to invite the Director General of Abrahot, Engineer Ubayo Mamo, to welcome us into this beautiful, beautiful library and to welcome us into the event as well. Ubayo, the floor is yours. Round of applause for him, please.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I want to take a moment to thank God for bringing us together as this significant AUEU Youth Lab meeting. Dear esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, and inspiring youths, as well as Her Excellency Yuta Urpilainer, and also honorable ambassadors, thank you once for coming here. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and young change makers, it is a great honor to stand before you today as the General Director of Abrahot Library at the AUEU Youth Lab events as a host. As we gather here, we are reminded that over 65% of our population is composed of young people, especially in Africa. This demography reality is not just a statistics, it is a powerful statement to the potential that lies within our youth, the future leaders, innovators, and change makers of our nations. Today, I want to discuss the critical importance of empowering our youth and productive steps the Ethiopian government is taking to ensure that our young people have the resource, opportunities, and support they need to thrive. Investing in education and skill development, as if our government is more emphasizes, education is a cornerstone of empowerment. The Ethiopian government recognizes this and is committed to enhance the quality of education across all over the country. We are investing in educational reforms that prioritize access to quality learning for young people, particularly in rural areas and undeserved areas too. So, through initiatives such as expansion of technical and vocational education and training programs, we are equipped our youth with practical skills that align with the demand of the job market. This program not only prepares young people for employment, but also to encourage entrepreneurship, enabling them to create their own opportunities. And also we promote youth participation as well as leadership. I'm one of the youth that's engaged by my government to run 2 institutions at a time. I am the director of this huge, fabulous library, as well as the huge Adwa Museum, which gives the freedom of the black people by not being colonized. So, as African, Ethiopian government is also dedicated to promote youth participation in governance and decision-making process. We believe that young people must have a seat at the table when it comes to shaping policies that affect their lives too. Through platforms like National Youth Council, we are ensuring that the voice of our youth are heard in discussions at all levels of the government, especially women's. This representation is crucial for fostering a sense of ownership and responsibility among young people, empowering them to advocate for their rights and interests is the best thing for the coming generation. Supporting innovative and entrepreneurship also one of the aspects that our governments follow. Recognizing the entrepreneurial spirit of our youth, the Ethiopian government is actively supporting innovation and startups. Nowadays, through our Prime Minister, 5 million coders is going to raise it up at a time now. So I am also part of that one. So such a youth entrepreneurship development programs provide young entrepreneurs with access to funding, mentorship, and also training. By fostering an environment that encourages creativity and innovations, we are helping young people to turn their ideas into viable business that contribute to our economy and create jobs for their peers. We understand that when young people succeed, our entire nations is going to thrive, enhancing an access to information and also resources. As a general director of this library, I am particularly passionate about the role of libraries in empowering youth too. Our libraries are evolving into dynamic space that provide access to information, technologies, and resources too. We are implementing programs that promote digital literacy, critical thinking, and research skill among young peoples. Most of African peoples, they call it almost more than 25% literacy rate. So we are implementing programs that promote not only digital also, and also research skills among young people. So by transforming our libraries into community hubs for learning and collaboration, we are ensure that our youth have the tools they need to navigate the complexity of the modern world. In recent year, we have witnessed a remarkable surge in youth activism and engagement. Young people are not just the leaders of tomorrow, they are also the leaders of today. They possess the creativity, passion, and determination to tackle the pressing challenges we face, from climate change to social inequality, as well as everything what happens through our societies. However, to harness this potential, we must provide them with the necessary tool and support. One of the most effective ways to empower our youth is by creating enabling environment which requires resources. This resource can serve as a catalyst for innovative projects that address local issues. Imagine a young entrepreneur in Addis Ababa develop a sustainable business model that reduce waste, or a group of students in any country of Ethiopia launching a campaign to promote education for girls. With the right of funding, these ideas can transform into impactful realities. But resources alone is not enough. We must also invest in training programs that equip young change makers with the skills they need to succeed. This includes training, advocacy, project management, and also leadership. By providing workshops and mentorships opportunities, we can help our youth develop the confidence and expertise to navigate the complexity of social changes. Moreover, we must prioritize monitoring and evaluation to ensure that these initiatives are effective and sustainability. By tracking progress and learning from our experience, we can refine our approach and maximize our impacts. This commitment to accountability will not only strengthen our projects, but also build trust with our communities. As AUEU, we have a unique responsibility to champion the voice of our youth on both national and international stages. We must engage with policymakers, share success stories, and highlight the innovative solutions that young people are implementing across our continent. Together, we can create an environment where youth-led initiatives are not only supported by celebrities. In conclusion, empowering young change makers through small grants, training, and amplifying their voice is not just an investment in our youth. It is an investment in the future of Africa. Let us work together, create a supportive ecosystem that nurtures innovation and fosters leadership among our young people. Thank you very much. God bless Ethiopia and Africa.
Wow, such a powerful statement. Another round of applause. And have you noticed he's also a young person leading this entire operation? And some of the things that he said really struck to me. It was also one of the things that we were discussing in Brussels, looking back at the youth engagement programs within the EU. Yes, we need to empower young people to ensure that our future is safe, secure, and sustainable. We have to have those monitoring and evaluation frameworks to build trust, but also to track our progress. I've mentioned at the beginning, even my journey within this cooperation. 7 years ago when we had the youth engagement between Africa, European, and diaspora youth. So we've come so far, but we need to monitor and evaluate to also inform where we're headed in the future. And I'm very happy that Ethiopia is also investing a lot in young people. We have 120 million people here. It's the second most populous country in Africa. So that was very important. Thank you very much for that. With that, I would also want to recognize the presence of the European Union ambassador to the EU, Her Excellency Sophie from Emmersberger. I hope I did justice to your name. Also, the EU member state ambassadors that are present here, welcome to this launch. And with that, I would like to invite the European Union ambassador to the African Union, His Excellency Mr. Javier Nino Perez, for his welcoming remarks. Look like a surprise over there. Thank you, Ambassador.
If I look surprised, it's because I am. Sorry, I wasn't expecting to say a few words. I feel somehow committed to this forum because my family name is Niño, little boy. This is all I can claim. I won't take much more of your time because we have two very distinguished speakers, Commissioner Urpilainen, my dear friend Nardo, CEO of NEPAD. It's really wonderful to be in this setting. I'm overwhelmed by the beauty of this place. I'm overwhelmed by the vibrancy of the youth. And all I can tell you is, please, the future is yours. The youth, Commissioner Urpilainen managed to gather 700 youth a week ago. We didn't manage that many, but there's a few of you, and we want to listen to your voices. Long live the youth, and welcome to this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. With that, I welcome my favorite person in the room. Don't come for me, young people. You're also my favorite people. I would like to invite my commissioner, Her Excellency Jutta Urpilainen, Commissioner of International Partnerships.
Dear friends, it has been a long day, and I would like to make a little test with you, because last week when we had this Global Gateway high-level event on youth in Brussels, and indeed we had 700 participants across the world. One African lady from Zimbabwe, she taught me that whenever we have Africans in the room, we empower them by saying sister, sister, and then the audience reply, sister. And then we say brother, brother, and the audience reply, brother. So I would like to test whether that's reality, whether that's true what she taught me last week. So when I say sister, sister, you have to reply sister. When I say brother, brother, you can reply brother, and let's see if it's functioning. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, let's see. Sister, sister! Brother, brother! No, that was quite poor, I have to say. Can we try again? Are you ready? Actually, that's not very convincing, to be very honest. I'm a former teacher, so I'm expecting a bit louder response. So, are you ready? Good. Sister, sister! Brother, brother! Sister, sister! Brother, brother! Good. Now I'm happy. So, dear friends, first of all, thank you for giving us this opportunity to visit this beautiful library. I have to admit that I'm a great fan of libraries because I love books. So I very often go to my hometown's library, but I have to tell you the truth, it's not as beautiful as this. So it's much more smaller, even though it's also very beautiful. Sophie, you might have visited the library of Kokkola city. From the beginning of my mandate as a Commissioner for International Partnerships, the journey which started in December 2019, I have put youth and young people at the heart of my mandate. And you might wonder why this Commissioner for Finland wanted to invest in young people across the world. Well, there are two reasons for that. The first one is that I'm a former youth activist myself. And I can tell you, young people, I still remember at the age of 49 how frustrating it was to have excellent ideas, but no one was interested in them. And to have that feeling that my voice is not really heard in my community. So from that experience, I have really wanted to make a difference for the young people, whether they are in Finland, where I used to work as a party chair or MP or politicians, or now in the European Commission, where I have a privilege to work for the young people across the world. The second reason for prioritizing young people is the fact that we have the biggest youth generation in history, 1.8 billion young people in this globe. But unfortunately, if you look at the young people represented in the national parliaments, the figure of MPs, so how many young MPs we have across the world is only 2.8%. So 2.8% of the MPs across the world are youth and young people. If we look at Africa, not only Ethiopia, but in general Africa, 1.3 billion citizens, and 70% of them are below 30 years old. So I think it's fair that young people in Africa, as you were highlighting in the beginning, they have their seats around the table. Their voice is heard and they can impact. And that's why the European Union adopted its first youth action plan for the EU's external relations. And the idea of that youth action plan was to give a guidance to our delegations across the world, including our delegation here in Addis, both of the delegations, one for African Union and the one for Ethiopia, so that we, the European Union, being present in this country, we are prioritizing the role of young people in our activities. And how do we do that? There are 3 elements and 3 components. The first one is indeed empower. We need to empower young people. We do that through the education, and I fully agree with you that education is the most transformative tool to change lives and societies. So we are investing a lot in education, but we also created a specific youth empowerment fund. It's 10 million euro, through which we provide young people across the globe access to funding. Because young people have a lot of great ideas, but they don't know how to finance them. And through this fund, we now provide an opportunity to access to finance. The second element is engagement. We have to engage with young people. And for the European Union, the main structure for that is our sounding board. I have my own global youth sounding board, and Pitania was referring to that. So 25 young people across the world are advising me regularly. I meet them and we discuss on different policy issues, and they are giving me their advice as well as their insights. But now, almost in 50 of our delegations, we also have national youth sounding boards. And I'm very happy to meet our Ethiopian youth sounding board members. I hope that I have an opportunity to discuss with you later today during the reception, because this body is precisely to be a kind of platform for the dialogue between our EU delegation and young people from Ethiopia. We also created a specific initiative which is called Youth and Women in Democracy Initiative, through which we want to encourage young people to be more active in politics. So this is something I just wanted to inform you, because as I said in the beginning, we also need more young politicians. We need also more young MPs and young political decision makers. And the third element, which relates to our hub, which we are launching today, is connect. Connection is power. If you want to have power, you need to have connections. And that's why we created the Europe-Africa Youth Academy, through which we are training and bringing together young European and African leaders. But this is also why we wanted to launch this AUEU Youth Lab, because we truly believe that we should strengthen also people-to-people connections, so that people from Africa, especially young people from Africa, as well as young people from Europe, can create connections and become friends and create friendships. So that's why I'm happy to be able to launch this lab today. And as Pitania was already highlighting, there are 3 priorities for this lab. The first one is ensuring participation and representation of youth. This is my humble plea, but I hope that in the future, in every EU-AU summit, hopefully also the next one, which is taking place next year, there will be a specific summit for youth, so that we can have our own summit for the young people from Africa as well as young people from Europe. The second, yes, I think it's definitely worth applause. The second priority is empower youth and enhancing the capacity of young people. We have to train young people, we have to empower young people through education, as I said. And then the third priority is create African European youth-led projects. So thank you very much for coming to this event tonight. I have to admit that I have had a very long day, but I have been looking forward to this moment from the beginning of the day. And I'm really delighted to be able to see young people from so many different African countries. And I really hope that we have an opportunity to also exchange views later today during the reception. So thank you very much, and long live the AUEU Youth Lab.
Another round of applause to our commissioner. Honestly speaking, I've worked with a number of head of states, policymakers, decision makers, and by far, Commissioner Oplainen has shown me that if there's political will, despite bureaucratic institutions, there can be change, and youth can be put at the center. So thank you so much for your leadership, Commissioner. Sister, sister. Brother, brother. Thank you for reminding us of that exciting exchange, Commissioner. Next, I'd like to invite Her Excellency Ms. Nardos Bekele Thomas from the African Union Development, what do you call it? African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, from my own country. Very excited to welcome you and good to see you again.
Thank you so much, Britannia. It's so wonderful to have you here, listening to you, the way you conduct this gathering is just amazing. That's the power of youth. First of all, I would like to say really thank you to the Commissioner. What an impressive program you have. And your commitment, your passion is really expressed through all what you have created for the young ones. Thank you very much. And second, really, you will be certainly missed, but wherever you are, your youthful energy will continue in energizing us. And would like to also say thank you to the director for availing this fantastic venue. You know, he was telling me that it's a library, so we don't clap, but we just do like this, right? Yeah, or this, yeah. But we've been doing it, but it's evening, so all students, maybe they are out, or maybe they're studying. But in any case, today is a special day. Thank you very much. And to the ambassadors, really so wonderful to see you in number here. But most importantly, the young ones, our children who are here, thank you very much. You know, I'm a mother of 4, you know, big ones and young ones. And therefore, for me, talking about the young people is so important because I wake up talking to my children and I sleep talking to my children. It's so important that we do that. And you know, their growth, their success is what keeps me going. And I have got grandchildren, and just seeing them grow is fantastic. But bringing them with all what they have to, you know, need for the future is so important. And I feel every day, every night, you know, I feel so sorry for those children that do not have that opportunity. Whatever I do for my children, be it in terms of providing the essentials and sending them to the good schools, I always think of the others that do not have this privilege. And we're so grateful that we have this privilege. But therefore, you know, for me, it's so important that we talk about the youth, that we talk about their needs, and that it has to be addressed in a very systematic way. And you know, not be seen as doing them lip service, but really integrating them with all the development processes. And not only integrating them, but hearing them. Because when we develop a plan, it's for them. And if they are not in that process, then, you know, what we plan might not be really what they need. And therefore, for me, it's so important. And the first thing I did, like you, Commissioner, having all these things, my own experience, but also my experience as a mother, the first thing I did was interrogate our program. And if you recall, we initiated a program called Energize Africa. Energize Africa has 3 components. And I see all what you're doing here really linking and reinforcing what we are doing. And I'm so glad that I come in. So we will plug in, or you will plug in, and we will be together working. Energize Africa has 3 components. The first component is to say, listen, the African youth need to be there at the planning, around the table, planning their own future. And also prescribe the solutions to the challenges of today. And they cannot do it being outside. They have to be integrated within the public service. And to do that, we need to have a special program for them. These young ones are not volunteers. They should not be called volunteers. They should be really professionals working in the governments, because the wage bill is so high. And because the wage bill is so high and that governments cannot afford to recruit them, what we are planning to do is have a program. And here, I would like to have the support of the AUEU. We train them and we inject them in the public service so that they can design their own destiny from within. So that is a big program, and I'm still struggling, but we have managed at least to get 100 professionals, African professionals, that we are putting to support and build the capacity of the regional economic communities now. The second thing is all what we have been doing, really supporting them in creating, the space for them to express their creativity and to foster their innovative minds. So all these innovation hubs that you see, the technology centers that we see in Africa. After having visited the innovation hubs in Africa, there are at least 3,000, I realized that the innovation hubs are not really responding to the needs of the young ones. And therefore, what we are planning to do now, we have mapped them. We are looking at the standards of these labs so that, there is a minimum standard that these innovation hubs should have to be responsive to the needs of the young ones. Our young ones under the tree are coming out with their cell phones. Innovations, apps that respond to their own social challenges, the socioeconomic challenges. So we've come out with what we call the homegrown solutions. And these homegrown solutions is giving incentives to those that come out with innovations that respond to their socioeconomic needs. We started, because it started with the COVID in the health sector, now we're expanding it to agriculture, and we're expanding it to really in all sectors, so that, the young ones would be supported to be able to transform their ideas into inventions, innovations, and technology responses to their needs. The third one, which is very critical and very important, is really the startup you talked about, yeah? And I've been discussing with the PM here and with all the governments, supporting the startup is critical. But what we have been doing is not really giving them the ingredients, a mix of judicious mix of ingredients that startups need to thrive. We will give 50,000 here or something, capacity building, but we don't give them a packaged, support. So giving the package support is very critical and very important, and supporting startups is very important. In all that, the African development space, as you know, is overcrowded. We see so many, projects that are there. as the African Union Development Agency that is mandated to coordinate all these activities, what we are trying to do is really setting standards so that support that goes to the young ones has a minimum standard. And we meet those standards so that they become impactful. And therefore, we have got 100 million MSMEs, but these 100 million MSMEs is not just something that we have created ourselves, but it really counts in all the other support and together making a difference and coming out with a response. Africa's economy is growing and it should grow, but putting as many stakeholders in the economy is critical and very important. And that is why we need many MSMEs, the startups, to be supported by us. In all this, I think, I would say the AUEU Youth Lab is so critical and very important. We're so happy that we have that. We'll certainly support it, and we will work together to make a difference to the young ones. Young ones, the future is yours. We are sometimes, prescribing things that might not work for you, but you have, through this, to come on board and tell us, no, this is not working. What works is this. And I'm so glad that you have the sounding board. And I hope you'll give me permission to use that sounding board to enhance the program that we deliver for Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause to Dr. Nardos. Thank you so much for emphasizing that young people should be recognized as professionals, right? Aren't we professionals? That means we are the leaders of today, not just the future. Maybe the children are the leaders of the future, but the young people now are actually leading the way to pioneer new spaces and to pioneer even the cooperation between cross-continental collaborations. So with that last welcome speaker, I would like to invite the Acting Director or Acting Head of Youth Development and Engagement Division, Ms. Ilwad Elmi Mohammed, from the African Union.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm the acting head of division. Our director, unfortunately, is not with us today, but let me have the honor to stand before you today and deliver a statement on her behalf. So Director Prudence Ngwenya, Director of the Women, Gender and Youth Directorate of the African Union, says that today marks as a significant milestone in our collective journey towards empowering youth and fostering deeper collaboration between Africa and Europe. The launch of the AUEU Youth Lab is not just an event. It is the realization of a shared vision of placing youth at the center of development, innovation, and governance across our two continents. The AUEU Youth Lab is a flagship program that stands at the intersection of our efforts to equip young people with the tools, platforms, and opportunities they need to lead the change we wish to see. Through this program, we are not only building bridges between the young people of Africa and Europe, but also empowering them to drive the transformation that both continents seek. Youth empowerment is a core priority for the African Union, and this program could not have come at a better time. The AUEU Youth Lab aligns closely with Agenda 2063, the African Union blueprint for the continent's long-term socio-economic transformation, Aspiration 6 of this agenda, which envisions an Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potential of its people, in particular its women and youth. It's particularly relevant to the objectives we pursue today. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, young people in Africa represent the largest demographic group, and they are a tremendous asset in terms of creativity, innovation, and leadership potential. It is our responsibility as leaders and policymakers to create an environment where this potential can be fully realized. This is not just a duty, but a critical investment in our collective future. At the Women, Gender and Youth Directorate, we continue to work to integrate youth into all facets of the EU's initiatives. The 1 million next level initiatives, for instance, seeks to provide opportunities to more than 300 million young Africans in education, employment, entrepreneurship, engagement, and health and well-being. Additionally, events such as the Pan-African Youth Forum continue to provide platforms where young people can engage, learn, and grow. The AUEU Youth Volunteer Corps, the African Youth Fund, and the AUEU Fellowship Programs are flagship initiatives of the African Union designed to empower young Africans by providing them with opportunities for leadership, development, capacity building, and entrepreneurship. However, our work cannot stop here. Your youth engagement is not a one-time event or project. It must be institutionalized, supported, and sustained. This is why the AUEU Youth Lab is so critical. It is not only about creating space for youth voices, it is about ensuring that those voices shape the policies and programs that affect their lives. The AUEU Youth Lab will create new opportunities for partnerships between African and European youth, encouraging collaboration on issues like climate change, peace building, digital transformation, and entrepreneurship. Positioning African and European youth as key players in addressing some of the most pressing global challenges. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the AUEU Youth Lab is more than a program. It is a strategic partnership that aligns with several key goals of Agenda 2063. Goal 17 emphasizes promoting youth and gender parity, particularly in leadership and governance. Goal 18 focuses on ensuring that Africa's youth are fully engaged in the development process, particularly through education, employment, and health. Moreover, the second 10-year implementation plan of Agenda 2063 sets out key moonshots that place youth at the center of Africa's transformation. The African Skills Revolution and Moonshot 4, for instance, focus on equipping young Africans with the digital, technical, and entrepreneurial skills necessary to thrive in a rapidly changing world. In closing, I want to reiterate the African Union's full commitment to the success of the AUEU Youth Lab. This initiative is a critical part of our broader mission to empower young people, foster meaningful engagement, and accelerate Africa's development. We look forward to working closely with our partner from the European Union, as well as the youth organizations and stakeholders to ensure that this program reaches its full potential. Let us remember, the future belongs to the youth, but it is our collective responsibility to equip them with the tools, the resources, and the opportunities to shape that future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, I actually invite you to sit here, Ms. Elouad. We've heard from our leaders, and we believe in intergenerational dialogue. So for that, I'm going to invite 3 young people that will summarize the recommendations from the different consultations that they've been having all day, but also in the past couple of months. So I invite the 3 young leaders that were selected. Ananya, Hope, and Sophonias, please come to the stage and join us on the seats. And I also would like to invite back to the stage my commissioner, Commissioner Jutta Urpilainen of International Partnership, so that she can hear from the young people. So the AUEU Youth Lab, is being implemented by a number of implementing partners: Oxfam, Restless Development, Search for Common Ground, Youth Makers Hub, and others. But it is co-designed and co-led with young people. So that's why I mentioned there is the Youth Advisory Board for the program. So 3 of our youth speakers represent that structure as well. And I have one question for each of them. In the beginning, I told you that there is 3 main objectives for this lab, right? So the first question is to you, Ananya. Do you have a mic as well? So Ananya is a member of the Youth Sounding Board from the Ethiopia delegation, from the EU delegation to Ethiopia. What should be the key 3 actions for policy and decision making to be more youth-centric? So this is a recommendation. 3 main actions for decision makers.
Good evening, everyone. It is truly an honor to sit here before you and try to voice the crucial needs of the youth in front of all these huge delegates of countries and also members of the EU and all of my fellow youth. So the first question was allocated to me, and we're trying to address how should the youth be represented and how should they participate in policy making and also decision making. So the first thing we recommend is to allocate youth permanent roles in institutions and government systems, such as the youth advisory boards, like the YSB is doing. Honestly speaking, YSB is one of the greatest things that happened to Ethiopian youth. This is because we have had the opportunity to voice the crucial needs of Ethiopia through the delegation. So we need such kind of platforms for the youth to voice their crucial needs. So they actually need a seat at the table. So in order to do that, we do need mentorship. We do need you to trust us as well. So we need to foster that sense of trust. You need to give us a safe space. You need to value our needs, our opinions, and take the risk on us and believe in our opinions. So I believe the first one is to allocate permanent roles and also give us a sense of ownership through the decisions and also the policies that you're trying to implement. So the second one is we have to try to identify, and also we need to prioritize what are the crucial and relevant issues that are actually happening to the youth. So we need to understand and navigate the potential issues and the already occurring issues of the youth. So we need to mainstream youth in your policies that you're trying to implement in the country you're trying to work on youth initiatives. Yeah. So this should be addressed because youth have been forces of change in every part of history. We try to use their energy for our agendas, for our development, but their ideas have not been included in the actual documents and plans that we're trying to implement. So trying to prioritize their needs and identifying their issues is very crucial. So the third and final action that we need to take is to try to give them resources to be able to represent themselves in huge high-level platforms. We have to understand that it's very expensive to represent yourself and participate in high-level forums that are in need of the user's voice. So partners need to allow youth to participate in such type of high-level forums in order for them to reflect their voice and the need of their fellow youth.
Absolutely.
So I believe we need to be able to
Support them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A round of applause to Ananya Morgis. Having permanent roles to not tokenize but truly engage, and then to support them access these rooms. Second question goes to Hope. Hope is a member of the advisory board of the Youth Voices Lab. The lab has 2 lots. One is to ensure that the other is the action that talks about the financial aspect. So to you, Hope, what does meaningful empowerment of young people mean to you? And also, how do we ensure that our interventions allow young people to realize their full potential?
Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that question. Good evening, everyone. I'll ride on the protocols that have already been observed. My name is Hope Mukwinda, coming from Zambia. I bring you greetings from Zambia. So to answer your question, for me, inclusion is one of the first thing that comes to my mind when we talk about what meaningful engagement or empowerment means to the youth. Actionable and deliberate oriented inclusion. We, the young people, we don't want to just be a statistic that we were in the room where policy development was taking place, but we want to be actually involved, be able to create the impact and be action oriented. And the second question is, how do we ensure our intervention allow young people to exercise their agency and just bring them to their full potential? One of them would be co-creation of policies and deliberate strategies and mechanisms to be put in place where this inclusive engagement that we are talking about is able to be actionalized in the room. Let the young people, the young person as far as the one in the grassroots, the one in the untapped areas of Africa, be able to participate in policy creation. From the whole cycle of policy development, we the young people should be involved, not only to bring us to the table when it's time to maybe validate the policy that has already been created, but we want to be the voice in the room. We want to be the people that were actually involved in that creation. We're really grateful that we have evolved from the times where young people were excluded from every thing that had to do with important key decision making. We're grateful that we're having such platforms. I don't think maybe 10, 15 years ago we had such engagements where a young person as myself all the way from Zambia would come and participate in such a forum. So I would love to actually show my gratitude to the organizers of this event. And also the second thing is intergenerational mentorship. In Zambia, we have a proverb that basically, technically, loosely translates into the fire that is protected by an adult cannot burn the young one. So intergenerational mentorship is going to bring the young people to a place where they are able to learn from the older generation, and the older generation is able to impact certain values, certain principles on how things are actually done. Because the issue of policy may be a very new thing to the young person, but the older generation has been going through these processes. So we do believe that we have a lot to learn from them, and being able to formulate deliberate mentorship classes, mentorship programs where the young people can deliberately learn from the older generation holding the hands of the young people to be able to implement certain strategies that we are talking about in this room. And last but not the least, supporting young people with the necessary tools and resources to take control of their lives and decision making in order to effect change. Many other times that a young person has these ideas, many other times that a young person has a whole lot of action plans and maybe concept notes of an idea that cannot be actualized until could be technical support, could be financial support is brought to this young person. So we need to have platforms, deliberate platforms that speak into capacity strengthening of the young people through supplying them with financial resource, technical resource from the older generation that already has this in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I don't know if this mic works. The new mic that was given to me doesn't work. Great, it works. It brings me to the last question, actually, the last recommendation that you gave about tools and resources to actualize those ideas. This question is to you, Sophonias. He is a Youth Action Lab Advisory Board member. Financing youth development initiatives is a very core priority to supporting youth-led initiatives, like Hope has said. So what can institutions do to ensure that a more systemic approach for holistic supports to young people?
So much. I'd like to start my says by mentioning what Commissioner Yuta has said in one of her videos that says, we would like to see our partners as actuator of our programs, not a subject of aid. When it comes to finance, we would like to say that finance is one of the pressing issues that we struggle with for the young people. Even though we do have an inspiration, knowledge, and that there is a need to be a part of the greater picture, finance has been a pressing hurdle for quite a long time. And the way we see financing is also that we really want to be seen as a partner, as a key ally in the greater picture that the AU is setting out. I've been going through the EU action plan, and it's been very impressive what has been done so far. During the plugin, the cooperation, now we are having the Youth Lab, which is a re-granting program that will give money for the youth-led organizations. So what we really want to do is we need a dedicated funding for the youth-led organizations who are on the ground struggling with the people on within the community, have the understanding of the problem of the young people to be able to strengthen their capacity, but at the same time also to voice their problems into higher level organizations. But the way how we would like to see it is we really want it to be a longer term. It's been very frustrating. Some of the funds has been a shorter term, and the young people were not able to see what's going to happen after some years. And through these fundings, we really want to build a trust with organizations, multilateral organizations like EU and AU to show that we really have the capacity, the passion to solve the problems, in fact, in a very innovative way, but also to be in the big pictures. But at the same time, we really want to be a grant mechanism that is after, that is likely continue after the granting as well. We really want to adopt a policy that's based on output impact assessment, that we'd like to have a continual support for the young people to keep their work, and sometimes after some years they will be able to stand alone and have a meaningful engagement. One of the problems we see in the young people is it's very worrying, because we feel like after when the time comes when budgeting is closed, we have to look for an organization to give us some money, because there might be some money left. We don't want to see ourselves like that. We want to see that we are a partner, we work together, and financing needs to be there to empower us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sophonias. So you really emphasized on how grant-making mechanisms to be really tailored to long-term impact, so that we don't just give money to young people, but we mentor them and support them so that they continue their work even after the grant is done, right? Yeah. Those are the three summaries of the recommendations that came out from the different consultations that was had by the Youth Advisory Board and the Youth Sounding Board. Now I want to come to the audience. I'll give a very quick chance to two people who want to reflect. Only two people. There's one. Is there another one? If not, then great. You have 30 seconds, sir. So if someone can help me with the mic. Oh, no. 30 seconds.
Okay, thanks so much. Hello?
You can introduce yourself.
All right, I can stand, I think. My name is Eniso, I'm from Ethiopia. I represent Youth Maker Hub, which is based in Greece. I'm a professor at the university in Ethiopia again, and visiting scholars at the University of Girona, Spain, and the University of Oradea in Romania. So I'm very close with Europe and African partnerships in higher education. I have three very important questions, maybe if you just allow me to address on it. One is about sustainability and long-term impact. So how does the AUEU ensure the sustainability of these initiatives? Because we have so many projects running up in AU leadership, flagship and European flagship. How we can really put this youth lab, sorry, can someone check? Okay, how we can sustain these initiatives into a more sustainable and program framework with European and African perspectives. The other is about involvement and engagement. It directly goes to African Union. What is a clear role on these AU-EU initiatives? Because since I am from Ethiopia, I want to know exactly what the AU can contribute for the full implementations of this AU-EU lab. I'm very clear with the European Union's engagement on this project. Does you have a roles that you really give us your hand to put into practice to move our nations in a more further steps? This is one question maybe for our delegates. One last question is about policy. It's the question for European Union delegates and African Union delegates. How will the outcomes of these initiatives really change it into a program or a policy of practice in Europe and Africa? So how we integrate these initiatives, outcomes into the policy and programs of our two sister continents. Thank you so much for the opportunity and have a good time.
Thank you so much. Excellent questions, very hard ones. I hope to hear the answers. So one last question, 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you so much. I am Ebenezer Uyesa from the EU Youth Sounding Board for EU delegation of Ethiopia. So it's very nice meeting all of you here. So my question is, what are the strategies of the European Commission in the reviewing the implementation of EU Youth Action Plan in integrating the African youth as the reviewers of the implementation in the region? And the second one is, what are the plans of integrating the AU in the review of the implementation of global gateway strategies for the region of the 5 focus areas? I think you had this discussion maybe in the global gateway strategies, so I would love for you to answer these questions. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So now we have 2 representatives that are decision makers that are sitting at the driver's seat of this cross-continental collaboration and cooperation. So I'd like to give the chance to Commissioner Urpilainen to address most of the questions that were directed at her.
Well, I start with these questions and then I come to the recommendations because I didn't have pen, so I tried to remember what you asked. How can we ensure that this AUEU Youth Lab will be a permanent structure? I hope that it will be, and that has been my aim from the beginning, to create permanent structures through which young people can influence and to be heard and make an impact. Because I personally believe in structures. I'm a great fan of structures. I think that ensures that there is a permanent dialogue, but there is also a platform for engagement. And that's why, for instance, I instructed our delegations to create these youth sounding boards at the national level, because I believe that that is a kind of platform which is very much needed. So I personally, of course, hope that the AUEU Youth Lab will be a permanent structure, which then enables young people to come together from Africa as well as from Europe. Then there was a question about global gateway implementation, also how to engage with the African youth in order to review the Youth Action Plan. Of course, the Youth Action Plan is only 2 years old, so we are still very much implementing the Youth Action Plan. My humble wish as a commissioner is that there would be, let's say, within 5 years, there would be the Youth Action Plan number 2, and that would be then co-created by young people from different continents, because the first Youth Action Plan was co-created with my Global Youth Sounding Board. So that was kind of co-creation of young people and my civil servants from Brussels. So I think now, if there is a political will to make the second version of the Youth Action Plan in the future, of course we already have existing structures and platforms which we can then use to review the current Youth Action Plan, but also to plan and create the next version of the Youth Action Plan. So this is my personal wish. Then I would like to come to the recommendations, and I fully agree with you that first of all we need specific funding for youth initiatives, and that's precisely why we decided to create this Youth Empowerment Fund. We just had a first call for applications and we received 10,000 applications from different parts of the world. And I think it really shows that there is a huge need for this kind of a fund which is specifically planned and created for young people. I also agree with you that there has to be monitoring and evaluation of the impact of different projects, because for young people it must be very frustrating that there is a project, nothing happens, there might be another project, so there has to be some kind of follow-up, there needs to be some kind of monitoring and evaluation in order to be able to see the outcome of those projects and also the results. I think it's important for our European citizens because the European Union always operates with its taxpayers' money. So of course, from our perspective, our citizens expect to be able to see the results and to be able to see accountability, but also for African youth and citizens, of course, you are also eager to see the results of those different projects. So I'm a great fan of evaluation and monitoring. And then I think what you said regarding this intergenerational mentoring, I really like this idea because when I was a young teacher, I proposed to create this kind of mentoring system for my city, and I think what we now try to do within the EU is to create a kind of EU alumni network, so that those young people who have been part of the National Youth Sounding Board or Global Youth Sounding Board or Special Advisor on Youth, you know, they could be somehow part of this community, this EU family, and then share their experience and knowledge with the newcomers and new members of our EU structure. So we already have 1,000 young people across the world who have been part of our youth structures. And I hope that this movement will grow and the number of young people will increase. But I think it is an excellent idea to create this kind of a knowledge and expertise exchange. And I also promise to be at your disposal when my term as a commissioner will end, so that then I can empower and share my expertise and experience with young people across the world through the EU Alumni Network. So thank you very much for your excellent recommendations.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Now to the AU. What is the role of the AU? What's the clear role of the AU and the strategies in ensuring that that initiative is actually owned by Africans? Yeah.
Thank you very much for that question. Actually, I wanted to say that the clear role of the AU, it's part of the title even of the Youth Lab. It's a co-created initiative. It's not an EU initiative, it's not the AU initiative, it's AU and EU. And I was saying earlier that the commitment of the African Union is at the highest level. Our actual chairperson, His Excellency Moussa Faki Mohamed, is one of the persons who launched the 1 Billion Next initiative that I was speaking about. He is really the one who is pushing for that. And we will continue to partner up with the European Union to make sure that the voices of youth are heard. And we will have soon, actually at the beginning of next month, the Pan-African Youth Forum, where we will have a platform again with thousands of young people from all over Africa, trying to represent all the continent, where we will be speaking about what we are speaking today, making sure that the young people are at the table of decision, making sure that the young people get the funds that they need to put in place the amazing ideas that they have, and making sure that we will continue with that engagement from the African Union. The Pan-African Youth Forum, it's actually every year that we are organizing it, and it helps actually to continue the discussion and to continue for the EU to be involved and to support the young people of the continent. So yes, the involvement of the African Union is real, is there. We have here Her Excellency, the CEO of the UNEPAD, so we will continue for sure to partner with the European Union and to continue the great work for the young people. Again, thank you very much for those brilliant recommendations. We are also right now working on the revision of the AU Youth Charter. We would like to make sure that the Youth Charter that now exists almost 20 years also has taken into account all the new challenges that the youth are also facing. So thank you very much. I noted everything, and I will definitely bring back that to the AUC. Thank you.
Excellent. You've heard it firsthand, so it's up to you to keep both institutions accountable, right? And the young leaders that are seated on the panel, they've really laid out the three main responsibilities that they expect from both the African Union and the European Union. In summary, they want permanent roles, and they want deliberate inclusion, not only for launching events and then celebrating the end of the events, the end of the project, but throughout. Co-create throughout. Last is sustainable partnership and grant making for lasting impact that would outlive such projects and really plant the trees for the following generation and for the cross-continental cooperation. And with that, the AUEU Youth Lab is actually being implemented by non-state actors with the support from, of course, the African Union and the European Union. And I would like to invite a representative from that consortium, Timothy Oboth, to maybe give us 2 minutes of how they plan to implement this lab.
All protocols observed. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, so I'm here just to introduce the consortium members that are working hand in hand with the Youth Advisory Board members. And so we have, I would start with Lot 1. Now, in Lot 1, we have Search for Common Grounds. Search for Common Grounds, if we have a representative, please stand up for recognition. Yes, a hand clap. Thank you. I prefer to be here. Okay. And then we Search for Common Grounds is an international organization that focuses on peace building and also transforming societies, especially addressing issues to do with solving or coming with solutions, innovative solutions to end violence. And so that is very key, of course, in the program that we are the AU, the EU program.
You have only 1 minute.
Oh, only 1 minute,
Yes.
Okay. Of course, then we have ComDev. ComDev, if you're there, please stand up for recognition. Oh yes, thank you very much. Yeah, and also we have Youth Makers Hub. Where are you? Great, thank you so much. And we have Oxfam. Oxfam team, yeah, great, it's a pleasure. And we have Lot 2 team as well. So in Lot 2, we have European Youth Forum. Anyone from European Youth Forum? Oh yeah, we didn't have someone that came through, but also we have Restless Development. And Restless Development implements both lots, Lot 1 and Lot 2. And we always say, and it's represented by myself, and we always say that we are restless.
Great.
And we believe in youth power. At the center of everything we do is youth power. And of course, we know that through youth power, we are able to transform the world, the continent that we are in.
Excellent.
Yes, then also we have...
Timothy. 10
Oxfam
seconds.
is in both lots, and the 2 seconds are over. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Timothy.
Yeah, great.
Youth
Sure.
power.
Youth power.
Thank you very much. And with that, we will close this amazing launch, and I invite our distinguished guest to brush the last painting, the last brushes of the painting, to really signify their commitment to the cross-continental collaboration. So Commissioner, Dr. Nardos, Ms. Ilham, Ilwad, I'm sorry, Ms. Ilwad, and also the 3 young leaders, please join us on the painting to signify the commitments and the intergenerational co-leadership. As they do that, what did we hear today? What did we hear today? You can scream it out as they finish. 1 is empower, 2 is engage, 3 is connect. Yeah? 1 is what? Finance. And finance. Thank you so much for your amazing participation. You've heard from the Commissioner, you've heard from the African Union, you've heard from young leaders. You've also seen the implementing partners, they've introduced themselves. So I invite you to the networking reception that will be behind the stage. But before that, we will do a group photo. So I invite everyone from the participants to come to the stage and line up for a group photo. And a round of applause for me. You're moderator for the day. Once again, my name is Bitania Lulu. It's been such a pleasure hosting this event because it's actually a full circle moment for me as a young leader who's been helping develop this cooperation for the last 7 years. So everyone, please join me on stage for this group photo. Young people in the room, please quickly rush to the stage so that we don't waste any more time. And we apologize for going 10 minutes over the planned time. Thank you very much. A round of applause for all of you as you make your way to the stage. Everyone from the participants, please. All the implementing partners, the YSPs, the Youth Advisory Board, also the member state ambassadors, and I will invite the commissioner at the end so that she's in the center. Okay. Ambassadors, please join us on stage. Group picture. Come here. Young people, quick, quick, quick. And I invite, of course, the distinguished guests to join the group photo as well. Yes, of course. Commissioner. Young people, is everyone on stage? Oh, I also recognize the presence of His Excellency John Kasai from Africa CDC. Yes! Youth power! Youth power! Brother, brother! Sister, sister! AUEU Lab! AUEU Lab! Thank you so much. Some progress is made. my right, to your left, which is to your left. Please make your way there to a networking reception and enjoy the drinks and enjoy the refreshments as you make connections with each other